So I'm going to record this. So Mr. Softy asked the question, can you speak to the peaks and valleys and times of day that you're most best to make money on the volatility, using BPTH as an example? So what I said earlier is I don't normally trade pre-market because the volume isn't there. It can be manipulated. It's much more difficult. So I generally don't trade there unless a stock is after market has popped, pulled back a bit, and then double top pre-market, and then it gets into this downtrending channel. That pattern has been 99% successful. And so that's in pre-market, but generally I don't trade there. But lots of people do, and if that's your niche, then you get the hang of it, you can. For me, it doesn't generally work. The second period of time to trade is at the opening. And you get, I don't normally trade the first 5-10 minutes. I'm watching stocks, the ones I'm looking at, but I'm not normally catching it. And if they do spike, then I'm waiting for the first pullback entry opportunity on it. And the problem with the trading in the first 2 or 3 minutes or first 5 minutes is you get this huge volatility, especially some of these low float, low price stocks. There's some few rooms that's what they specialize in. They go in, they say they're buying it. They've got thousands of followers. Everybody piles in, the thing spikes, and then they all sell, and it drops and spikes, and extreme volatility. So I wait for that to end, and I watch. But some people can trade that. Some like to do it. It's not really for me. I then wait for the first pullback entry opportunity. So on BPH here, it did spike up. If you had bought it at the 7, it did spike to, close to 8. But it did pull back then to support. And this would be where I buy. So this is an area that I'm looking at. But then you get the first 2 or 3 hours of trading from 9 a.m. to noon. And that's in here. And now in this case, BPTH just kept going. But you quite often find that you'll see that here the stock ANF, which was on my watch list this morning, big spike up, a bit of volatility, but it got into this uptrending channel. But then when you get around noon, it flattens out, and this is quite typical. And this is much more difficult to make the money. So you're making the money in the first 2 or 3 hours, usually from 9 to 11, maybe into 12. But you want to be out of the market by 12. And lots of guys don't even trade in this time period. They just go away, they have lunch, they go to the gym, and girls, they go, they go to the store, they have breakfast, they do whatever they're going to do. And you notice that that's when I normally take my break at, 10 o'clock, 9 o'clock East, Pacific time. 9 to 10, I come back at, around 11 Pacific time, which is 2. Excuse me. And so this time period in here quite often is flat. Now that's not the case for BPTH today because of course this thing just kept rocketing up through that whole time period. But then from noon to 1 it did go flat, so I guess it did sort of follow that pattern from 9 till noon and then flattens out. Now it's rolling over. But what you find, so that's the next time period. The first time period is at the opening. Second period is from 9 till noon. Third, it's 1, 2, 3. The fourth period is the lunch hour, where stocks tend to flatten out and they're not as volatile. Much more difficult to make money. And then the next period is at 2 o'clock when the traders all come back and they trade for the last hour or the last 2 hours. And even the last hour where quite often it's coined to be the power hour. And the power hour doesn't necessarily mean up. It can be down, up and down. But what it means is the volume comes back into the market. And then the stocks then get a bit more volatility in it and allow you to trade it. And then the last time period is aftermarket earnings and stuff comes out. Huge volatility in the markets. And a lot less volume, so that's part of the reason for such volatility, because the market makers have all gone home, and it's just trading on its own. Excuse me.